Jim with NightOwl Monitoring. Today I want to introduce you to the NightOwl Ultra. One of the neat things about the Ultra is how many different types of sensors it can connect to. Right here on the bottom we have two analog inputs. Now these are the 4 to 20 milliamp signals that you typically use for pressure sensors, and that's how we use them. Here in the middle we have two pulse inputs. These would be for things like water meters, or for you line shaft turbine guys, your oil drip sensors would connect right there so you can monitor that. Here on the end we have the Modbus input. Now this is where the bulk of your sensors are going to connect. We only give you one input. However, the unit comes with this 8-port Modbus block, so you can connect up to 8 sensors once you connect this wire right here. And if you've got more than 8 sensors, we just send you another block. All right, so let's get this thing mounted on the wall. Now one thing I want to point out is that it only comes with a 3-foot cord, so you need to mount it pretty close to a 110 volt power supply. And the unit comes with this handy mounting kit. That'll help you get this thing on the wall. Once you've got the unit mounted on the wall, go ahead and plug it into power. And then we're going to open up the box. Now, what I'm going to show you is how you can install each of the sensors, and you'll be able to tell right away whether or not they're wired properly. Okay, it's time to start installing your sensors and running your communication cables. The problem is we don't know how far it is from where you're installing that sensor over to where you've mounted that box. And that's going to vary from job site to job site. So what we're going to do for most of your sensors is we're going to supply you with a 52-foot long cable. One end will have a connector on it, and the other end will be a flying lead. That way you can pull it through conduit if you need to. But once you get that laid, you're going to need to be able to put an M12 adapter on the end of that. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, the first thing you need to do is to take the adapter and the cover apart and loosen the little relief here, strain relief, and slip that over the cable before you strip it back. Then use your strippers and take off about 1.5 inches of the outer jacket. Then you need to strip back about 1/2 inch of the bare cable. With these really good strippers, you can do all 4 of those all at once. The next thing you're going to need is some ferrules. The key here is that you want to use the smallest ones that you can fit over the wire. And there's some here for single wire and there's some for double wire. So if you, in this case we only have a single wire. If I can pick up this little booger, slip it over the wire all the way, then take your crimpers, slip them over. That gives you a good solid wire. Now let's get these other 4 done. All right, now that we got those 4 done, it's time to put them into the screw terminals. Now the order does matter, and you need to make sure on the sensor that you're installing that you follow the proper order code. In this case, and which is kind of the most common one, we're going to put the brown into number 1. Now if you look at the face here, you're going to see little bitty numbers. I can see that that's 4 and that's a 3, that's 2 and that's 1 right there. So brown goes in number 1. Turn it around. Now you've got a solid wire that you can really bite down with that screw. So number 2 is this one right here, and that's going to get the blue wire. And then the white goes in number 3. Nice and tight. And then black into 4. Now when you're done, give each of those a good tug on them, make sure they're all going to stay. And then pull the cover back over and tighten it up. Get that good and tight so it won't come loose. And then the last thing, make sure you tighten down this little strain relief so that the cable's not being, when the cable's tugged on, it doesn't pull on those wires so they don't pull out. And that is a good connection that will last a long time. When it comes time to connect your sensors to your box or to your Modbus brick, there's a couple of things you need to know. First of all, there's a little pin in here in this male adapter. You got to turn it just right, and once you get it right, it'll just fall right in. Once you see that, you go ahead and tighten it up. We can go ahead and hook up our Modbus brick here too. Get that nice and tight. Now, you notice that I'm using straights here on this because the weight of this is pulling straight down. We don't want these cables to be in a bind. But when it comes to this 8-port brick here, you might choose to use a right angle. That's what we typically use for them. Unless this is installed inside of a box where you have a cable restraint, this right angle works really good so that the weight's kind of hanging down, but it allows you to install multiple things and they won't get in the way of each other the way they cascade over themselves like this. So one thing I want to point out about these right angle adapters, they're not the easiest things to install. It takes me 3 times as long to install one of these as it does to install a straight one. And we want to make your job easier. So the way that we do that, when we send you a cable, it's going to have the right angle already on it if that's what you need. So you can go ahead and connect that to your block, run your cable over to your sensor, and then you cut it to length and install a straight one, a male or a female, whatever your sensor needs. Now when we send these to you, it's going to be all bundled up. The sensor, the cable, the proper adapter, all bundled up. And if you'll stick with that and follow those instructions, they're the exact same as what's in the instruction manual. That will make your job easier. Okay, so now I want to show you how you can install sensors in a way that you could tell whether or not they're wired properly. The first one we're going to do is this pressure sensor. It's analog, it's that 4 to 20 milliamp, and it's going to go into AI1. But I want to show you here, the box right here is called a blue module, and it's got this little digital readout. See up here at the top, AI1 0 milliamps and AI2 0. It's toggling between that and the digital inputs. Keep your eye on that AI1. When I plug this wire in, it should go from 0 milliamps to 4 milliamps. Now we got it wired correctly. Now, you can also test your pressure sensor just by blowing into the end of it. Watch that 4 go up. And that's how you know if it's wired properly. Okay, so let's do the same thing for our pulse input. I have an 1.5 inch pulse water meter here and I have an adapter connected to it. Let's connect that to pulse number 2. It's going to be our digital input number 2. You notice as soon as I connected that, this red light came on here for digital input number 2. Now look at your readout up here. You see this? Digital input 2, you see how that switch is closed and the others are all open? That tells me we got it done right. But let's double check the meter to make sure when we have flow, we can actually see it here on the blue module. Okay, so here we have our 1.5 inch water meter. Now you and I both know you could blow air through it and that would actually make it turn and we'd see the pulses. However, you're going to mess up your zeros for your customer. So the trick is to use a magnet. There's actually a little magnet on the bottom of one of those dials, and every time it turns around, that magnet makes contact and that's what sends the pulse. So the trick is we have a little magnet on the end of our screwdriver and we can actually simulate that ourselves here. See that DI2 at the bottom is red, it's flashing, and then look up there at the top, the DI2, the switch is on and off. That's how you know that it's working properly. When it comes time to install your Modbus sensors, unfortunately there's nothing that the blue module can tell us about whether or not these sensors are wired properly. So there are a couple of things you can do. I'm going to hook up this ultrasonic liquid level sensor. You're going to notice that as soon as I get it connected, it's going to have a green light. See that green light lit up there? It's actually going to start flashing here in a minute. And I've also got a temperature sensor. Not all sensors have a green light or some kind of light that comes on, but if they do, that's usually a good indication. At least you got it hooked up to power properly. See the little green light there above the quality control sticker? So the other things you can do is to go on the dashboard, and it's highly recommended you do that so you don't have to have another trip out to the job site. Either do it on your phone or a tablet there in the field, or have somebody in the office do that for you. Open up your dashboard and search for the unit by the serial number. Once you find that, open it up
And in the upper right-hand corner here in the Site Info section, click on the gear icon. Now over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see all the Modbus inputs. You can see the ultrasonic level sensor. We've got that connected. It's green. It's online. And the temperature sensor. It's online. Now, one thing I want to point out is that the pressure sensor is not. Remember, we connected a pressure sensor, but it was an analog pressure sensor, not a Modbus one. While we do offer Modbus pressure sensors, they're significantly more expensive, and so we try to use the analog ones when we can. As you connect each sensor, they should start showing up in your dashboard within 5 minutes. So it's a good idea to have someone look over the dashboard before you leave the site to make sure that everything is communicating properly.
Okay, the last thing you might want to connect are the relays. And you can run those through the gland that we provided here in the bottom of the box. And you're going to hardwire those in here where it says NO1, COM1, or NO2 and COM2. So these are normally open relays, and they're only rated at 3 amps. So if you've got very much of a draw, something like a valve or something like that, you probably are going to need another relay or an ice cube relay to help with that. Also, they're normally open. So if you need to reverse that for something you want a normally closed relay, a reversing relay or an ice cube relay will help you do that. Now I've gone ahead and gone on the dashboard and I've actually closed relay number 1. And you're going to see that up here on the readout, right below analog input, see digital output 1, that's closed. And also you see digital output number 1, the red light is on right here. So if you have somebody back at the office or they're on a tablet, you can have them operate those relays and you can actually see whether or not they work. So once you've got all your sensors installed, it's time to configure your dashboard. Now we track the unit by the serial number that's here inside the lid. And when we shipped it to you, we went ahead and attached this device to your dashboard. So in another video, I'll show you step by step how you can configure your dashboard so that it's set up right. There's one more thing that you need to know. The unit has a fuse built in right here. Now the toolkit that we offer comes with extra fuses, or you can buy them at any hardware store. They're the standard 5 by 20 millimeter, 1 amp, 250 volt glass fuses. If you wired something wrong, you might have blown the fuse. So check that before you freak out. That's really all there is to installing a NightOwl Ultra. Of course, you may need some help with some individual sensors, so make sure you check out our videos on those, and make sure you follow the wiring instructions that come in the box. But if you get stuck, don't hesitate to ask for help. It may seem complicated at first, but once you've installed a few of these, I guarantee you it's going to seem a lot easier. Thank you for being a customer of NightOwl Monitoring.